It was shortly after I began to follow Christ, just about 4 years ago, that I started to go to churches to try to figure out which denomination I was in and which denomination felt more like me. And ultimately, I realized that, as the Corinthians talks about, we are the church. There really is no true church. The true church is just the people, and the people who have the Holy Spirit. But it wasn't long after that I also, while I was going to these different churches and all that, that I realized that most of these Christian dudes are kind of gay, and they think kind of gay, and they act kind of beta. They would follow the women around. You'd see the way that they act. You'd see in the non-denominational churches, they're raising their hands, holding hands with their other dudes around them, singing songs that aren't even biblical. And I don't know why, but in my spirit, I just thought, no thanks. No thanks. Singing songs that, while holding hands with other dudes that aren't even related to the Bible, really, that just seems kind of gay to me. That just seems kind of weird. I'm not really about that. I'm not about that at all. You guys can keep doing that if you want, but I've read about David and Goliath. I've read about Daniel going through the lion's den. I've read about Jesus flipping over the tables, and I'm not going to be sitting here standing around holding hands with you dudes with my hands in the air pretending to praise Jesus while acting gay. That's not what I'm going to do. And I feel as though that I saw the light leave their eyes as I started to have more and more discernment. Because it was almost as if when I looked into their eyes, before I started to follow Christ and I looked into religious people's eyes, because I don't consider myself religious, I'm ritualistic, but I would look into the eyes of these people and I could swear that there was something else there. But really, that was just me wanting to project my own light that was not of even Christ into them, because I wanted to see the good in them. I wanted to believe that they had something that I didn't. And then I started to really follow Christ, and I thought to myself, I looked around, seeing these guys act gay, and I look into their eyes afterward, and I'm talking to them, and I can't help but see that there's this dullness lingering in the back of their eyes. And they almost have these fluoride eyes. They have these eyes that you would only get from poisoning yourself, really, spiritually. And you know what's super weird is it's almost as if everybody around was giving people spiritual wedgies and then gaslighting them about it. And you could feel the aftermath of the spiritual wedgie when you looked into their eyes. They knew that they were being spiritually castrated and spiritually molested, and yet they still worshipped in the way that they did. And then I'd look around at all of the women who were so empowered, so empowered to be in the church and to lead the congregations and all that. And because I tried to go to the Mormon church, I tried to go to the Catholic church, I tried to go to non-denominational, Baptist, all these different whatever. The only ones that I really didn't go to more of, that I wanted to more, was the Orthodox church. And even then, John 4:24 says that those that worship God worship in spirit and truth, and that we ourselves are the body of Christ. We ourselves are the church. And that's also in the Corinthians as well. So I've always seen that we're the church. And I've seen it. I know that we are the church. We are the body of Christ. That's what it means for Jesus to be wed. Like Jesus is the bridegroom, right? And we are the bride, basically, as the Bible talks about. And it just seems to me that a lot of these Christian dudes have lost their manhood. I'm sitting there with these guys that are holding hands, giving each other spiritual wedgies, and then doing like the spiritual circle jerk for each other afterward while their wives are running their lives. And I'm thinking to myself, am I the only godlike savage in this town? Am I the only godlike savage? I don't even, like at that time, 4 years ago, I didn't even feel like I was that much of a man yet. Like I knew I was coming into manhood, but I didn't even feel like I was like rough and tough. You know, I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel like I was made of leather in the way that I feel now. And I started to ask myself, am I the only one? Am I the only one that sees through this BS? Am I the only one that sees these guys are just like they're women, like they're all women, and the women are men? And it's only when I started to realize, because people would tell me my eyes are hypnotizing. They would look into my eyes and they would say that my eyes are hypnotizing. And of course, you know, I'm filming this later at night, so it's kind of dark. But I've also gotten the same kind of thing told to me when I film these YouTube channel videos and X account videos and all that. And people tell me that my eyes are like glass. They say that my eyes are like glass. Now, a lot of that I think is just semen retention, but it's also my connection to God, because your eyes do change. And the more you develop your relationship to Christ, the more that you're going to actually have that cleanliness and that pureness of spirit. And you'll see it in other people's eyes. You can see the light in people's eyes. Like, you know, there's a difference between seeing color in people's eyes and seeing light in people's eyes. You know what I mean? Like a lot of you guys, I know you know what I mean, but I think it's sometimes articulated or phrased differently is going to be helpful for you, because what I've seen is that there are a lot of people that just pretend to know Christ, or they pretend to know God, even to themselves. And they, ooh, right there, somebody did not want me to say that. I felt like some kind of clasp around my throat just there. But anyway, that was really uncomfortable. But moving on, there's a lot of people that want to pretend that they know things and they really don't. And they convince themselves of this own spiritual identity, but they're only giving themselves spiritual wedgies. They're like basically spiritually masturbating to their own ego, and they don't even know it. And that's what's so crazy about the world that we live in. And the women are running things more than ever. We have all this women empowerment. I don't know what YouTube was trying to do to me today, but this was a clip from What Women Want. It was a movie from 2000 with Mel Gibson. And in this clip, and I don't know what exactly compelled me to watch it, I felt as if it was meant for me to watch it for some reason. It was very strange. Like, very, very strange thing. And I was like, okay, well, I'll give this a shot. I'll see what this says. Because it looked like propaganda of some kind. And then you watch the clip and it's like, oh my gosh, you know, they wanted to, empower women. It's about what women want. Like women are so much more, they don't even think about cheating on people. They're just so devout and they're just so devoted to their man. Whenever they do give that man whatever, it's just a bunch of, just a bunch of BS. Because any man that is understanding of female nature at its core knows that women by nature are deceitful, and women by nature are going to try to challenge you and your manhood at every single corner. Now, of course, I know I'll hear a lot of men that will say, well, no, women will make it easy for you. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe some women will make it easy for you, yes. But if you're an attractive, godly man, there is a dark side to that. And I've literally had women tell me that they see my spirit around me. And this was when I was very much so in a very deep semen retention and meditation and prayer. I was fasting, like, just the whole 9 yards, And women would say this. And I remember even women telling me at certain points, they didn't even really tell me. They just they look at me and they almost, they can't handle the energy. And I've had women, they will say that I'm a lot to handle, even though I'm very chill. It's so crazy, it's so crazy. With semen retention, you're just going to be who you are. You're just sitting there and they're just freaking out because of how much energy you have. And you're just sitting there like, what the? I'm as calm and cool, collected as a cucumber. Like, I'm chill. I'm as cool as a cucumber. What are you doing? Just it's okay. It's okay. We're going to be taken care of here. It's all right. But they just freak out. So they didn't really tell me, but they just demonstrated it from their behavior in that instance. But I have had women tell me that they see my spirit. And what it is it's not really me, though, that they're seeing. It's not really my light. It's God's light shining through me and emanating through me. It's not me, because I get my strength and my power from the source of creation, which is the Creator himself, Jesus Christ himself. I get my source of energy from the source. My connection to God is what gives me life. My connection to God is what gives me that radiance. And it's going to be what gives you that radiance. It's going to be what gives you that glow. It's going to be what gives you that light shining through your eyes. And they might not even know what they're seeing. They might not even be aware of why they're seeing what they're seeing. And yet they're going to exhibit these kinds of behaviors. You're going to have people freaking out. And it's just going to be what it is. Because even now, don't get me wrong, sometimes you're not going to even be visible to some people because you're operating at just such a high level. Your spiritual altitude, let's say, is just, you're on Mount Everest, spiritually speaking, and they're at sea level. And so they're not even going to be able to breathe, quote unquote, spiritually speaking, metaphorically, where you are. So they're not even going to see you, because everything is spiritual. And I've been thinking a lot about fallen angels recently. And the reason that I bring up fallen angels right now is because there is a huge difference between the people that are using AI constantly. I've noticed this. Okay, I've noticed this. People that tell me how often they're using AI and what they're using it for, I can literally feel their crown chakra out of alignment. I can literally feel it when I'm talking to them. Because when I'm talking to people, I can feel their energy. And I almost try to match the chakras. And I use that term loosely, okay? I'm using that term loosely, but I try to sense where they're at in their alignment, because I know when I'm aligned and I know when I'm not aligned. And about 99% of the time at this point, I'm aligned. And so when I'm talking to someone, I can literally feel when their chakras are not aligned. I can feel when their energy is not in sync. And most of the time, I would say people have the biggest out of alignment is with their belly, with their third eye, and their crown. Their heart as well, but it depends on the person. But I would say as a societal level, like on the collective consciousness level, it's the stomach, the third eye, and the crown. The third eye is real. Okay, it's the pineal gland. People will, this is another thing that I don't like about a lot of Christians, is because they'll immediately write off all of these esoteric ideas. And it's like, but they're very useful to understand because it's actually applicable to some way. But it's like fallen angel technology. Okay, remember, fallen angel technology in of itself, it's not really evil, but it's a tool that can be led to evil. Okay, this is, for example, astrology, divination, numerology. This is all fallen angel technology. And we have to be mindful of how we use it. Okay, because I'm not saying that you shouldn't use it. I'm not saying that you should use it. I'm just saying that it's better to just try to understand what it is rather than to use it, because you can use it. And you can do anything with some of this fallen angel technology, and AI absolutely can be useful. But remember that AI can really be persuasive for anything. I mean, if you ask it for a very persuasive prompt on, why, I don't know, because you can't really ask it emotional, manipulative questions, but you can say, like, how do I get this person to love me, right? How do I get this person to trust me? You can ask it those kinds of questions, and if you have the phrasing right on certain questions, AI will give you very, very manipulative responses. So you're not always talking to just this thing, okay? You're talking to a demon more often than not. And that's why I can literally feel when people are using AI, like ChatGPT or Grok or whatever, too much. They're not just using it as like a Google search base, like an artifact or a library. They're using it in a way that they're trying to communicate with it as a person, rather than just, okay, this is what I want, create this for whatever, create these metrics, create this business plan or whatever, or create this image. No. They're treating AI as a person. I swear you literally lose the light of Christ when you treat AI in that way, because you're treating AI as if it has something more than just the ability to process information. All AI is just a higher form of computational logic, really, at the end of the day. And we have to be careful with how we're going to use this, because you will potentially destroy your connection to Christ, because that's what the crown is, right? The crown is literally your connection to the divine. And so if you disrupt your connection to the divine and you lack your discernment, because that's what the third eye is for, right? The pineal gland helps you with your spiritual discernment. That's a good way to think about it. Okay, I'm not speaking about it in regard to, I'm using these Eastern philosophical and spiritual terms, but I'm trying to describe it in a way that's more based in biblical terms. Okay, so we have to recognize this for what it is, and we just have to accept that it's likely not. AI is going to hinder your relationship to God if you use it incorrectly. Okay, because if you keep using it, you literally disrupt your connection to God, because you're actively participating in fallen angel technology. You're literally actively destroying your spiritual progress and growth. It may look like you're not in the short term. In the short term, yeah, it might not look like it. It's like all these people that manifest, because think about manifestation. And I was thinking about this last night as well, after I made my video from yesterday, which honestly, in retrospect, was probably one of my better videos. And I'm very grateful for all the support that I got from those comments and everything. So shout out to you guys. But I was thinking about manifestation, and I was thinking about how in the fiat currency system, manifestation is literally black magic. That's all it is. It's literally black magic. It's literally designed because you can't have abundance, true abundance in the fiat currency system. Why? Because as I described in yesterday's video, if you owe me money, or if you owe the bank money, I have value or the bank has value. And I have power and the bank has power. That's how power works in the fiat currency system. It's based on a lack of and a scarcity. So manifestation is literally dark magic. It's literally going to disrupt your soul. And I was talking to somebody else about this too recently. It's so crazy. And that's, you think the light of Christ isn't going to be dimming in your eyes? Oh, it will. It will. It may not be looking like it in the short term, but in the long term, oh yeah, you better believe it. You better believe it. So with all that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful for you. Went through a little bit of a swam through a spiritual ocean for sure, but I think we got the point across here. So I hope with all that being said, everybody's staying blessed. Join my Godlike Mastery Initiation program if you are wanting to go in a deeper dive. And this is only for people that have the financial resources and the time to do so. Okay, but if you want to join the free Regal Change Academy, you can do that. But if you want to join the calls and the classes in the Regal Change Academy, that's where you're going to have to go through the paywall. But you can check all those out in the link in the description box below, or you can check out my book, The Book of Oldishness, as well in the link in the description box below. Peace. Until next time.